Hi, welcome to Wicked Confidential, my cooking show that I do here from Wicked Slice in Coventry, Connecticut. I'm Chef Johnny. Today's show I'm going to make Steak Diane for you, clam chowder, oven roasted vegetables, and lobster risotto. First thing we're going to do is start with the chowder. First thing I do is cook the bacon. The pan that I'm cooking the chowder in, I'm going to render the bacon down in, just so I can get the flavor of the bacon in with the chowder. I'm going to use a little bit of the bacon fat. This is not a dish for the faint of heart. There is heavy cream and bacon in this. While I'm doing that, I cut my celery. Easiest way to cut celery. Cut it down the middle. Cut those two pieces down the middle again. And eat nice little squares. I like them to be the same size so they cook evenly. I do the same with the potatoes, as they're squares just like this. Easiest way to do the potato is to square it off on one side. And then it doesn't roll around when it's on the table. I can hear that bacon going really nicely. Back to the potato. And the easiest way to get the nice little chunks, just like this. If you can see that. I like to do nice squares. Makes for a nice presentation. It's easier to eat. I have some already pre-cut and pre-done here. Take it easy about 3 or 4 minutes to get a little crispy. I'm not really worried about being crispy. Once the chowder, it's chowder with the cream there, it'll soften up anyway. But I let you render most of the fat out of it. At this point, we're going to add the chopped celery and onions. One of my cutting boards for our next project. I started making clam chowder a long time ago. My cousin's boyfriend had a bar. And that's where I learned how to cook when I was about 14 years old. And these bikers love chowder in a minute, I tell you. This is going to cook for about 4 or 5 minutes. I'm going to add a little butter right now. Butter's our friend, as I told you in my last 2 shows. We also have a guest on the show today. Michael Cook, the general manager of the Wicked Slice. He's going to make a Steak Diane pizza for us. That's to die for. That's looking pretty good. At this point, I'm going to put out my potatoes and cauliflower for my puree with Steak Diane. It's just chunked up potatoes with nice cauliflower. It was beautiful at the store. That's why I bought it. I didn't know what vegetable I was going to use, and the cauliflower looked very beautiful. I initially was going to do parsnips. Okay, that's looking really nice. Got about another minute or 2 to go. I'll add the chopped clams to it. And the heavy cream. And half and half. You can also use milk or skim milk. You can thicken this up with anything. I use cornstarch because it's gluten-free and it appeals to everybody. We sell a lot of gluten-free things here at the Wicked Slice, so we might as well continue with this. Okay. At this point, we're going to add a little bit of chicken stock. Get a little boil going there. It's beautiful. It smells great. And everybody's favorite, tiny bit of garlic. All these recipes will come up on the screen. smells excellent. Heavy cream. This is a quart of heavy cream. At this point, I'm going to turn the heat down a little bit. It's very easy to scorch something like this with cream in it. You turn your head for a second and it's gone. Excuse me. Tiny bit more chicken stock. Now I just have some half and half right here. This is a little slurry I'm going to make with cornstarch so I can thicken this up. That looks great already. And like I said, I use cornstarch because it's gluten-free. So two tablespoons right there of cornstarch. I'm going to add a little more after. I don't like to put too much in at one point. Okay. Put that in with the chowder mixture. Add a little more half and half. At this point, I'm going to add my potatoes, which I've already pre-boiled. I pre-boil them because if you try to saute them, they break up into chowder, and I just find it makes just a better chowder. Put them in at the end. A little more cornstarch in here. Turn the heat up a bit. Hi Jake, Veronica, and Rose. I didn't say hi to you in the last couple of weeks in the show, sorry. Those are my children's. That's looking really good right there. We're going to do a little salt and pepper to taste. Turn it up a little bit. The cornstarch reacts with heat, so the higher you go, the thicker it's going to get. I don't want it too thick. Salt and pepper. You can get these in any store, as I told you before. It's much better than that product in a little jars. Give that like another minute. Thicken up. This is our ribeye we'll be using for our Steak Diane in a few minutes. It's beautiful. You should leave it out at room temperature for about 30 minutes before you cook it, so it cooks evenly. Because if it's ice cold on the inside, it just won't cook right. We don't want to tell you too many secrets from the restaurant, but that's certainly one. That's why your steak always tastes better out. But I'm going to teach you how you can do it at home. All my ingredients were procured locally. I didn't go to any fish market or anything like that. The store in your town is just fine. I prefer the smaller stores myself because we're a small business, but I'm not opposed to going to the big grocery stores. This is perfect. This is just like this. I'm going to add a little bit of parsley in there. Excellent. It's excellent. I wish you could smell it. Put this off to the side. We'll plate this up after with the rest of the meal. First, we're going to get the risotto going. So that takes a little longer. Risotto is a fancy word for rice. I'm using arborio rice today. It's a very, very short-grained rice, and it soaks up 3 or 4 times its weight in water. Regular rice, if you were to make regular rice at home, you would use 2 cups of water to 1 cup of rice. This is probably a cup and a half, or less than 2 cups to 4 cups of whatever liquid I'm using. I'm using a lobster stock, lobster combination chicken stock right here for that. I can start with some butter, but I need some oil too. Thanks, Mike. Butter and olive oil. We're going to crisp this rice up and brown it up a little bit. This is 1/2 of an onion that I put through a food processor. I like it really small in the risotto, so there's not big chunks. We're going to saute. This is probably a 3 or 4 minute process till we start adding the liquid. I like to get it a little brown. Once I add the liquid, I'm going to show you how to break down the lobster. The easy way. It's always nice to have a big pan in your house too. They're available cheap all over the place. A little bit of garlic at this point. Turn up the heat a little bit. The heat is cranking, which I want for the rice. When you're doing risotto, it requires a lot of work, a lot of stirring once you get going. So you can't leave it. It's not like minute rice I had when I was a kid. This is much different. See, it's starting to get a little brown. We'll start hopping around in the pan. You can turn that down a tad. You can smell, it smells fabulous. It's like a nutty flavor with the garlic. I cooked a lot of rice when I was in the military. We had rice 3 meals a day, so I'm pretty good at rice. It's getting a little brown. I don't want to burn it because you can take it really close to the edge and burn it. So we're going to start adding our liquid now with the heat all the way up. Tiny bit of red wine. I like the red wine for the color instead of a Chardonnay. It's a little bolder flavor too with the lobster. Okay, so while this is going, let me show you how to break down a lobster very easily. This is the easiest way to break down a lobster. This is what I used for the stock to make this dish. So I'm just going to put that aside for now because I don't need that. Simply break the lobster tail in half. Get another plate here. This will have to be clean because there is a little roe in there. This is the easiest trick with these claws right here. You see, there's a membrane right here. And if you just cut that with your knife, that just chops right in half. And you can push that piece of meat right through without any problem at all. Instead of having a cracker and the little knife that you keep, little fork, that grandma pulls out of the thing. Or not grandma, me, because I go looking for those things at tag sales. But that's the easiest way. There's a little membrane there. And it breaks off and just push it through with your pinky. We eat, I would say quite a bit, but we eat lobster frequently here at the restaurant. I like making lobster rolls for the crew. It's good for morale. And same thing with this cloth. That just comes right out like that. You can crack this in half. These are Canadian lobsters. Not very big claws or anything. You're not going to get a lot of meat out of them. But they were on sale for $7.99 a pound. And right in town, so that's a pretty good deal. And for a dish like this, how's that risotto looking like?
It's looking good.
Excellent.
You really got to keep the risotto moving so it doesn't stick to that pan.
Exactly. It's a constant chore. But the end product is delicious. So we're almost done with the lobster here. That's good.
like most of that stock's absorbed, Johnny. Should I add some?
Yeah, I absolutely keep going. I'm gonna step away for a second to wash this tail. As you can see, it has like a row in there of eggs, and I just like to take that out because a lot of people don't like that. So I just give that like a quick wash in any sink. And then I want to keep it quite chunky for the risotto. I don't want it to be little pieces. I want people to be able to taste the lobster. And the knuckle pieces seem to always be the nicest pieces. That's beautiful. Thanks, Mike. This risotto it's still a little while away because you can feel it. You can feel it. It's still a little crispy. It's a ways away. I'll take this down. I'm going back to that, Mike, okay? And keep it on low. And I get Steak Diane going. Okay. Steak Diane. Same thing with oil. This is a pre-seasoned ribeye. I seasoned both sides. Got a little on the fat too. It's a great piece of meat. This is my favorite cut of meat. I do like filet, but there's some fat on here. It's really good. And if you go to these local small places, you can talk to somebody. It's not just meat sitting in a cooler with nobody there. They'll actually talk to you and suggest things for you and give you ideas, and it's not hard. And like I said, as I'm showing you, it's not hard to cook. I've been doing it trying to teach people for years. It's hot in Coventry today. And that's what you want to hear. You want to hear the crispiness of that steak. You want to get it brown on all sides, and even a little bit on the fat. And then we're going to slide that in the oven. This is how most places cook steaks. Unless you're at a big steakhouse, you have a huge grill. Most places cook them in a pan like this and finish them off in the oven because you just burn a good steak on the grill. I'm sorry. I'm not a big grill guy. I'd rather cook it like this and serve you a nice sauce with it, like I'm going to do. I'll give that two minutes on that side. And the risotto's coming along nicely. Give that another minute. What else can we talk about today besides cooking? It is Breast Awareness Month, cancer. Please, all women get checked. When you're at the store and they ask for that $1, just once in a while give up that $1. My son has autism, and that $1, it really helps a lot of people. This won't be a political show, so don't worry about that. But I have a few views that I will comment on. Just to try to keep viewers, so that's my goal. So you see how nice and brown that is? It's in caramelized. Our risotto's going beautiful. Steam's going to pan in the oven. In a moment. Next we're going to be doing some mushrooms. That's what we're going to be serving. And we're going to do some grilled vegetables too. This is zucchini and yellow squash. They're still pretty nice and seasoned. We're going to oven roast these for a few minutes and get some flavor out of them. That's beautiful. Switch it off the side into another pan. It's gonna go in the oven in a minute. This is gonna go at 350 for about 3 or 4 minutes in the oven. So we're just gonna place it over here right now. I'm gonna finish off my chowder. I don't put the clams until the end because they're tender and they all break up. But that is the end result of the chowder right there. And we'll boil it up with nice presentation at the end of the show. Turn this down. Mushrooms, the Steak Diane sauce. Our risotto's looking beautiful. Add some more stock. We're going to continue to cut our vegetables. I want to get them in the oven. And very simple, just a little olive oil, salt, and pepper. They don't need anything else. I do use a lot of butter, so once in a while I'll throw you guys some olive oil. I'm not a big olive oil fan myself. Add a little bit of onion for the Steak Diane. The Steak Diane, it's a brandy mustard sauce we're making. I first had this dish at Willie's Steakhouse in Manchester, which is no longer there. I used to go there with an old girlfriend. She liked liver and onions. I never had that, but they'd always have a funky steak there. And this is one I got one time. It was a hanger steak, Steak Diane, and it was outstanding. Onions in the pan. Caramelize going on. A little bit of garlic, which I have somewhere. Beautiful. Excellent. And a little butter. Everybody knows that I love butter. Seem to have gotten some stuff on my glasses, so give me a second, folks, because I am old and blind. Let's give the risotto a taste. It's looking like it's coming down to the corner. Nah, it still seems a little hard. It takes a while. That's almost there. Okay. We're going to cook this down for about another 2 or 3 minutes. And then we're going to add brandy. And then reduce that down in red wine. And beef stock. A tiny bit of onion in with the roasted vegetables too. And this is simple. You can use disposable pans like I'm using because I don't have to do anything washing. They're cheap everywhere. You're gonna pop it into the oven now. Okay, the mushrooms and onions are looking great. They're looking great. I want to cook the onions down just a little bit more. I see I need some more liquid on the risotto. As I said, it soaks up a lot of liquid. A lot of liquid. At this point, I put the legs in the risotto to get a little more lobster flavor in there. I'm not going to put the lobster until the end, because I don't want it to be like rubber. Because that's what happens. You overcook seafood, it gets rubbery and gross. Okay, this looks nice. Melanie's going to stand back a little bit because we're going to deglaze the wine and make a big fire. We don't want anybody to get burned. And I don't want I don't want my ancel system to go off either, or burn the camera. So here we go. Yes. If the fire extinguisher goes off, we're all going to get covered in powder and the show will be done for the day, folks. This is the first time I've really sauteed like this here, folks, so. Everything's good though. Everything's great. That's red wine, that's about a half a cup. Like I said, all the ingredients then will be up on the screen. More we're stocking that risotto, as we see, it sucks it right up. The sauce is looking really nice. Dijon mustard, about 4 tablespoons. At this point, we're going to slide the steak. Melanie, we're going to put inside steak in the oven. We're going to go into this top oven right here. We'll get that to perfect medium rare. I always use a timer for the steak because I don't want to burn your steak. The sauce is looking beautiful. Give it a little taste. That's excellent. Tiny bit of half and half. Evens it out. And butter. As always, butter is your friend. The rest of this butter is going in with the risotto. So that's about a half a stick of butter in with the risotto too. This we're going to turn down. Beautiful. That risotto's coming out nice. It's getting a very nice texture now. I love that. I love the dryness of the red wine. I love everything about the dish. As soon as we're done with this risotto, we're going to put this together, and then Mike's going to put together a Steak Diane pizza for you. Okay, let's check that again. Last spoon. That's excellent. That's very good. I'm just going to grab a little pistachio cheese from our deli. Turn that down. That's beautiful. I'm going to put the sauce all out to the side right now. I'm going to bring the risotto out front. And we're going to finish this off. A little bit of parsley for a little color. That's beautiful. Turn that down just a tad. Red wine, brandy, Dijon sauce. Steak Diane. I'm going to go grab my vegetables out of the oven. Okay. Back to the risotto. See, it's just starting to stick to the bottom. It's getting really creamy now. Add a little water. I don't want to put any more stock in. Let's add more salt. And this should take it right down. I never burn my steak. Well, I shouldn't say that. I burned plenty of steaks in my life, but that's beautiful. This pan is wicked hot. Put this in a side pan right now. Beautiful ribeye. Thank you, Michael, very much. I'm just going to crisp these vegetables up a little bit. I should have it in the oven a little longer. But we're going to do the same, we achieve the same thing in the pan. A little mess going here. I'm certainly not a clean chef, but I'm a good one. A little olive oil in the pan. Vegetables we just had, if you don't want to put them in the oven. Just for time and TV sakes, we're going to go like this. Drop a couple on the floor, that's okay. That's okay. No one here, it's getting close to Christmas, everybody, too. So, everybody be ready. Next thing you know, we'll be at the office Christmas party. Santa will be coming. I got 3 kids, so I hope for a busy holiday season here. That's the way you slice. Okay, that risotto looks perfect. Take that down a little bit more to get a little more of that liquid out, but we're just about good. Nice big pan is much easier, folks, than a little small 12-inch pan. This is a 16-inch pan. This is a 24-inch pan. I know some are kind of big, but you get a lot more done a lot quicker. A lot more surface area. You get more even cooking. Let's get this lobster out. You don't have to look at that guy anymore. Hope I showed you something. Hope you like the lobster. It's not that hard to do. And to all my Yankee friends, go Yankees. I'm a Red Sox fan, but go Yankees. What the heck, man? We're not the old, bitter Red Sox fans that we used to be because we won a couple. As I was an old, bitter fan. All I had, and I'm a Miami Dolphins fan, so I have no hope. All I had was the UConn women, and thank God for them. Otherwise, I would have never won anything. I waited in line in the 90s to get that sweatshirt with my mother at the co-op. She was excited. That's beautiful. See that lobster now. Get a little heat on that lobster. Let me get my plate. Like I said, a clam chowder, use any kind of dairy product that you want. Steak Diane with roasted vegetables. Steak Diane sauce. I know it's kind of brown, but it's so tasty. Then again, a little fresh parsley, because I love parsley. I love parsley. Let's put this over here with the chowder, and we'll go for the risotto. Then you have your meal. Now this risotto would be your appetizer. Beautiful. to be able to see the claws and the knuckles. Just like that. You know, this cost about, because of the lobster, $10 to make. We feed 2 people. We pay $20 for this in Hartford. So, all it is rice and lobster. And a few other things that you saw. There we go. Lobster risotto with assaggio cheese, clam chowder New England style, and a steak Diane with roasted vegetables.
So now with Chef Johnny's steak, maybe you have some left over from the night before. Maybe it's what you want for your main course, but we're gonna take this, a 16-ounce pizza dough. Most pizza restaurants around the area will sell you one. If not, you can always get one at the grocery store. So I have a 16-ounce dough right here. I'm gonna lightly flour my working surface. Here at Wicked Slice, we have a dough rolling machine. Obviously, most of you aren't gonna have that at home. So I will show you the proper technique on how to hand roll out a pizza dough. I personally think that it's the best way to actually roll out a pizza dough. It really gets out the air bubbles and you'll get a nice solid crust out of it. So you're gonna wanna take both your hands pretty much together like this and just pound around the dough in an even circle. Keep the dough as much a circle as possible and it'll just make for an even cook. So basically you just want to get all the air bubbles out of there. Flip it over, a little more flour on top. So I'm Mike. I'm also from Wicked Slice in Coventry, Connecticut. I've been in the pizza business for probably, I want to say about 13 years. I started at an old school Italian pizza restaurant in Glastonbury, Gino's Pizza. They're no longer in business. Great family though, the Procassinis. From there, I moved to a little higher paced pizza restaurant, also in Glastonbury. Worked there for a couple years, was a management over there. And I just decided that I wanted to expand my cooking knowledge. So I went to more of a sit-down restaurant in Manchester, Mulberry Street. And there, I mean, they do a lot of pizza. They are a pizza restaurant, but they do have a chef there, and I learned a lot of culinary techniques from him. There's where I actually learned how to pound out the pizza dough like this, and they swear by it. They pound out every single pizza dough by hand. From there, I actually own my own restaurant in Glastonbury. Last summer, things didn't work out. I ended up in the hospital for a little while, and I just decided it just wasn't the time for me to open up a restaurant. When I got out of the hospital, I had a friend of mine who was actually currently previously managing here, and I went to school with him, and he got me a job here. He went on to do different things, and that left me to be the manager here. So from here, you got a pretty flattened out pizza dough. So here's a 16-ounce pizza. I should be able to stretch it about 16 inches onto one of our medium pizza screens that we have here. The best way for you at home to stretch a pizza dough is just kind of lightly stretch it by hand, like this. You can always go along the edges. You want it to be a real even pizza surface. I know a lot of times when people stretch, you get a really thin center and a thick edge. You just want to keep it as even as you can. Over the years, I have learned how to throw the pizza dough just a little bit, and that really helps it get the nice even stretch that you need. So right there, should be able to get about 16-inch onto our medium pizza screen we have here. You might not have a pizza screen at home, that's fine. I know a lot of people nowadays, they do have their own pizza stone. You can stretch that to however big you want on the pizza stone. From there, I'm gonna go ahead and make our Steak Diane pizza. We have made it here before. It's awesome, just as good as the original one. So I'm gonna take a little bit of that leftover Steak Diane sauce and just put it right there in the middle. Take that and just layer it out on the pizza crust. So, Another thing, when I'm putting already cooked meat on the pizza, I like to keep it on the base with your base if you're using a gravy or a pizza sauce, or in this case, a Steak Diane sauce. You want to put it right above that gravy. So I'm going to take the steak, now that this is spread out nice and evenly, I'm going to put that right on top of that Diane sauce there. Because the steak that we had, we already cooked that, and it's just the leftover bits that we might have lying around. And just put that, you want to leave about a ½ an inch for a crust, and just layer that over the bottom sauce of the pizza. So again, using the already cooked meats, I know when we do our Thanksgiving Day pizza or any kind of pulled chicken, I always like to put that right on the base of the pizza with the sauce, and then put the cheese on top. The reason for that, as the cheese melts, it's gonna release some moisture. So it's gonna, if your steak's a little dry, maybe it's been sitting in the fridge for a couple of days, the moisture from the cheese as it cooks, it's really gonna reabsorb back into that meat that you have. And since we have the moist steak and the gravy, we don't need to go too heavy on the cheese because it's gonna be saucy enough. So a nice light layer of cheese like that. So that's just a low moisture mozzarella that you can shred. You can get a block at the grocery store and just shred on your cheese shredder, or you can even get the pre-shred stuff that's in the dairy section. Once I have the cheese on the pizza, I'm gonna take a little bit of Parmesan and really go around the crust with it. And then whatever's left over just around the pizza. Also, we have a spice mixture, basil and oregano. You can just make a little shaker at your home or stir some up in a ramekin and sprinkle it. But also, you really want to get the crust good with that. The crust doesn't have any flavor of the toppings really on it, because that's really what you hold the pizza from. So by adding the Parmesan cheese and the spice, it'll really keep some flavor in that crust so that you can actually eat the whole slice. So from there, I'm going to take the pizza and we're going to put it in our 550 degree oven. Most ovens at home will go up to 550 degrees, so that is what I like to cook a pizza at. From there, we'll probably cook the pizza about 6 to 7 minutes. Obviously, just check out if any bubbles come up. Just use a steak knife and you can pop the bubbles. It'll keep the toppings from spreading out over the bubbles. All right, so Steak Diane pizza is about to come out of the oven. So right there, that pizza looks just about done. You want to take a look at the bottom. You want it just like that. Hit that on our block just for a second. You at home using the pizza block obviously won't have to do that because you're already going to have that nice crisp finish on it. There it is. All right. It's about as good as it's going to get, folks. I'm going to go ahead and cut that. You can cut it however you like at home. Here we use a thinner crust, so we generally cut it pie style in about 8 pieces. And you take that if you're serving that for dinner, because that is a perfect dinner meal. You can always just garnish it with a little parsley, and there you go. Good.
Thanks, Mike.
Nice.
Thank you. Hope you enjoyed my show today. I had a ball bringing it to you. My holiday show is going to be the next one, so I'll be doing crown roasted pork and a few other things. So everybody have a great day. Thank you very much. Johnny out.